At what point, I understand that officers have some personnel rights that have to be abided by. In the media, they talk about the fact that the officer has not made himself available to his attorney. At what point does the criminal process override his personnel rights and you bring him in for questioning? And not you, or that he is brought in for questioning, because it's unclear from the coverage thus far what happens in that.
Okay, I can tell you what the legal aspect of that. There's two pieces to it. First of all, an officer, as anyone else does in the course of a criminal investigation, can invoke his right to remain silent. Doesn't have to talk to us. Okay. In a police department personnel internal affairs investigation, the officer can be compelled to give a statement. In other words, he can say, I take the fifth, and they say, I'm sorry, you have to cooperate under our rules. And if he doesn't cooperate and give a statement, then that's insubordination and subject to discipline for that. The issue that comes up, and we're getting into, this is just legal mumbo jumbo, but this is how it works. The statement that the officer gives to the Internal Affairs Division that's compelled under the law is an involuntary statement. And that, or anything derived from that, can't be used in a criminal proceeding. So in terms of the aspects of the two kind of avenues that the statement part goes, that's what the law is in that area.
Thank you.
Are you aware of what's being reported in the news that the shooter is concerned for his life? Could you speak to that?
No, so I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
You know nothing of that?
That I've seen in the media.
Okay, so but do you think that if his life was a threat, that he could be well kept safe in custody?
I don't know that he's not being kept well safe now. I don't know. I can't answer that.
So you're not willing to make a public pronouncement to
Right.
the constituents of the city and county? What you said today to us, although it's not our responsibility to disseminate your
Right.
words to us, you're unwilling then to make any kind of public statement to the facts or this, what you shared with us today?
No, I mean, I've said to the press that our function, we're doing an investigation. Our function is to determine whether or not the facts justify a criminal prosecution against the officer. That's what the DA's job is, that I have investigators that are out working on it. I've said that.
For FYI, for my non-legal perspective, is there a question, is there another kind of charge other than criminal prosecution at this point? Is there an alternative charge other than criminal prosecution?
Well,
So that I'm clear.
yes, as far as I'm concerned, my view is whether or not it's criminal prosecution.
Okay.
That's what I am. I'm the prosecutor. I'm the district attorney.
So-
My job is to enforce criminal laws, okay? The other aspects of, first of all, is obviously civil liability can be based on simple negligence, okay? That's another avenue of things to take. And then the other avenue is any disciplinary action through the department. So those are kind of the three.
That you're weighing.
No, I don't, I'm only looking.
You only deal with criminal.
Right.
So I guess, as you said early on, the fact of somebody being dead and somebody doing the shooting is pretty much cut and dry. More or less your time to investigate deals with mindset and the whole other extenuating circumstances.
That each level of criminal homicide requires a specific mental state. Okay?
So then you're saying it is homicide, you're just trying to find
Well,
out what level, whether it's first
it
degree or
is,
second degree?
it's definitely homicide.
Right.
But let me clarify what I mean by that. A homicide just means one person killed another.
Right.
I mean, even if it were an
Accident.
accident or clear, like self-defense, some guy shoots at somebody first and they shoot back and it's clearly self-defense, that's still a homicide. That's the definition of homicide. Person kills another person, whether it's justifiable, excusable, or at whatever level.
Mr. Digger, in terms of your investigative process, I want to ask you a question concerning that, because there's a wealth of information that you already have in your exposal, which should shorten the time of your investigation. And we as a community are not going to tire in terms of longevity and time of investigation. So we want to know if you are putting a priority on coming to a conclusion in this investigation.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to that would be yes. In most officer involved shootings, we wait for a lot of things to happen. By that I mean for some of the tests to get done, and we're trying to get everything expedited in this. I mean, I realize the importance of this to the community. And believe me, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but I want it off my plate as soon as I can have it also. And so the answer is yes, but that doesn't mean it's going to be tomorrow.
To the best of your knowledge, do you know whether or not the feds have been asked to come in and look at this, either to prosecute criminally under the federal statutes as opposed to state law, or in under a violation of Mr. Grant's civil rights?
No, I don't know the answer to that. Usually they're obviously aware. Usually they make the decision whether or not they come in. I haven't heard anything yet. But if you think this process isn't moving as quickly as you like, believe me, the federal process is much, much, much slower. Okay,
So
I appreciate everybody.
But you say you want it off of your plate. What do you mean by that?
Well, I want that resolved. Is it going forward as a
So
criminal
you want to switch
prosecution,
it
or is
into
it,
the
or is it
courtroom, or you
not?
want to just break it off into?
No, I want the decision done. I want the decision made, is what I mean by that.
Attorney Orloff, we want to thank you.
I have one question for you, District Attorney. Just, I was upset when I saw the footage, to the point that I'm still sick from it. Just from a personal thing, outside of you being a district attorney, when you saw that footage, how did you feel? Just personally, outside of your office, I mean, what did it make you feel like? I mean, I'm still having nightmares from it.
I guess the answer, and you know, I'm sorry to say this, but you know, in this business we get a little more callous, you know, than the person, because we deal with this. It's very troubling, and we have to kind of develop our defense mechanisms a little bit. I would say I was shocked. I think that's more was my reaction.
Okay.
It is unbelievable, kind of. What it is. Okay, thank you all very much. And,
Thank you, Mr. Orloff.
Thank you, Mr. Orloff.
Certainly, we hope to see Mr. Orloff charges brought. And we need an ongoing meeting scheduled.
and I'm going to make the decision.